Hi, this is episode number 3 of Savages in the Bronx, live from Studio 54 in New Jersey and REN Studio in Staten Island, New York, airing exclusively on Twitch and powered by StreamYard. And welcome back to the show on this Monday, March the 29th, 2021. I am your host, Rich Rivera, and I'm being joined by a 6'3" strapping young lad of a co-host, Mr. Tom Wospil.
Good evening, Richard. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Tom. How was your weekend?
It was good. It was kind of similar to the last weekend with a little less drinking. There was still golf and drinking, and went back to our first indoor dining for a year. Yeah, it was magical to have someone bring me a water.
Look at you getting back to normalcy. Where'd you go? Let's give some free plug for somebody.
I mean, listen, I'll give you one guess of where we went, Rich.
Okay. What's the guess? For me.
Yeah, for you. I'm going to guess where I went.
I'm going to go Jose Tejas.
No, that's a good guess, though. Stagehouse, obviously.
Stagehouse.
Well, Stagehouse, Bronx, Somerset, New Jersey. Yeah. Fantastic.
Good
to get back out there.
Stagehouse Tavern was the place for Tom, myself, and our softball team after we lost 2 games in a row. That was our spot to go to dwell on our losses, but we got drunk and
more or less
barely made it up for work on the next day. So yeah, it was a good time. It was a great time.
Yeah. How was your weekend?
My weekend was good, man. I took advantage of the beautiful weather. Had some softball practice this past Saturday. So yeah, my team is ready for a championship run. So shout out to the Ball Busters over Staten Island. So hopefully we can pull it out this year. So we got opening day coming up there. So we have to get prepared, man.
Listen, if you ever need a call in a righty, just let me know.
Yes, sir. I will definitely make the call to the righty. Old Big 54 coming in from Jersey. That's a major call from the pen. So, yeah, you'll hear from me sooner than later when we eventually do need you. So, before we get into our Bronx is Burning segment, which is only one news segment to talk about, you can make sure to follow us on Twitter at Savages Bronx as we're continuing our Rank the Yanks bit where we're ranking the best 25 lineups from the last 25 years since 1996. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty, Tom. With opening day right here, we put up the number 3 lineup, which was the 1998, of course, World Series championship team. The Yankees.
Best team the last 25 years that the Yankees have had. Probably the best. Could be the best team the last 25 years anyone has had. Obviously they're going to end up getting a top 3 spot. It was good to see all those 90s mainstays of Artino or Knobloch, Jeter, Paul O'Neill. It's good seeing those guys, around in the lineup again.
100%. And I can't believe we're already counting down to the final 2 starting tomorrow. So again, follow us at Savages Bronx to find out who are the top 2 lineups of the last 25 years on opening day. Now, speaking of opening day, one person who's going to definitely now miss opening day, Luke Voit. He's going to be headed to the IL, fortunately with a slight meniscus tear. And now, of course, this is opening up the job for Jay Bruce to take that role at first base, obviously brought on as a spring training invite. And possibly Mike Tauchman now, our boy, is essentially guaranteed a roster spot at this point, but tough loss for the Yankees, Tom.
Yeah, this is definitely the toughest pill to swallow this spring. Losing Britton was bad, but, the bullpen, there was a lot of other strengths in there. Wilson, kind of hurt as well, but Voit, he's definitely a fan favorite. Impact bat in the middle of that lineup. So much power the other way. He can hit the ball, out to the short porch, pull it. It's going to be a big loss. Just sad. It's going to be sad to not see him out there.
Yeah, it's a tough one. And once again, it feels like a reoccurring segment every week. Talk about a different Yankees injury. I guess maybe it's just us. Maybe we just have to end this show. I think it might be an us problem at this rate.
I mean, I don't think we've been doing the show for the last 4 years, so I think we're probably good. Unless you've been just videotaping me secretly for the last 4 years, then maybe that we can put some blame on us. But yeah, Bruce is going to be the starting first baseman now for at least probably 2 months. I know they said mid-May, but that means the All-Star break by the time we see Voit probably back, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. Bruce kind of started off pretty good in spring, and then he's not been great. He's kind of picked it back up a little bit of recent, but it's definitely a big loss for the team.
Yeah, definitely. I am looking forward to the lefty bat changing things up, though, in Jay Bruce, if there's any positive spot. Jay
True.
Bruce, what we weren't sure what his role was going to be going into spring training. Many people had him not even making the team. So here's an opportunity for the veteran left-hander who's been notably a corner outfielder, but of course we're going to see what he's going to do picking it over at first base.
Yeah, about 50 games I think he started at first base. So well, I mean, all best luck for Luke getting better, and to Jay to be able to hold it down until he gets back. I know I also saw today that Dietrich and Chirinos, I think, agreed to the minor league deal. So at least we'll have some veterans, back there. Chirinos not for a while, but we'll have another power lefty in the alternate site for a little bit in case we need to call someone else up.
And another note, Yoli Chacin released from his contract as well. So
yes.
The Yankees are on the verge of finalizing their roster going into Thursday, which will see them facing the Blue Jays. Garrett Cole will be on the mound for a 1:05 p.m. start time. So we're looking forward to it. 3 days away, Tom. But on this episode number 3 of Savages in the Bronx, and obviously you can always follow us again at Savages Bronx. You can follow Tom at
Wospil 54.
And you can follow me at Rich J. Rivera. Back to the episode number 3 of Savages in the Bronx, where we have our first guest. And we're very excited to have our first guest because you can follow him at John_Jastremski on Twitter. But tonight you get the pleasure of hearing him from the man himself. Our special guest, he studied broadcast journalism at Syracuse University. He started making his waves at WAER Radio, Patch.com, SNY, and most recently WFAN under the Entercom banner, the host of JJ After Dark. But now about to turn the chapter on radio to join Bill Simmons and The Ringer. And here to tell us more about that, along with his lifelong love of the Yankees, John Jastremski joins us on Savages in the Bronx. What's up, John?
Boys, that was quite the introduction. And I got to admit, it sounds a little strange when you're introducing me as JJ After Dark, formerly of WFAN. And I guess I still have that in the Twitter bio for the next 3 or 4 days. But yes, new job awaits, new challenge awaits, and a new season for the boys a couple of days away. But what's up, boys? What's happening?
Oh, man, and we're excited to have you. Thank you for joining us, of course. Opening day 3 days away, but let's get to it, man. You just alluded to it. This is an exciting time for you, JJ. Solid tenure with the Fan and making this huge move for your career. So what's going through your mind right now, and how'd you come to this decision to take this next step to the Ringer?
Well, I think it starts with Bill Simmons. When somebody like that gives you a call and kind of reaches out and, puts the full court press on to try to bring you in, that's very, very tough to look away from. The guy is an innovator. The guy has always been a step ahead of everything when it comes to media. And listen, I wasn't proactively looking to leave WFAN. I had a really good gig there. I thought I did a pretty darn good job over the last 9 years. But listen, opportunity talks, financials talk. I think the lifestyle change is going to be a good one. And listen, 5 years ago, guys, I never in a million years would have left radio for a podcast gig. The world is a much different place now in 2021 than it was in 2017, than it was when I was in college in 2010. So, there's a lot of opportunity for growth out there. So it'll be different. It'll be definitely a little, off the beaten path for me for the first couple weeks. But once we get into a rhythm or a routine, we'll be fine.
And Bill Simmons, huge Boston sports fanatic, of course. So do you kind of feel like you turn your back on the New York faithful to work for Simmons?
No, and I'm going to tell you why. Because I'm going to be bringing my New York twang, my New York feel to a New York podcast. That's, there are a lot of things that are being said and being written about this move, guys. So I'm glad that you guys are having me on. I can, address some of these, not all of them, because listen, a lot of this stuff I can't get into legally until Friday or Monday or whatever. But this is going to be a New York podcast. Yes, my boss right now is worth hundreds of millions of dollars and, is a Boston sports guy. I don't plan on talking a whole lot of Boston sports anytime soon. We're going to be doing basically the same stuff we've been doing at FAN. New York sports, a lot of gambling mixed in under a different banner. That's basically the nooks and the crannies of this move as a whole.
Love it. I think, Bill Simmons is definitely America's favorite Red Sox fan. Probably America's only favorite Red Sox fan, but the most favorite. everyone loves Bill Simmons for sure. JJ, I got a question. So you kind of alluded to this before, but do you see, you moving from WFAN, one of the biggest sports talk stations in the country, moving to more of a podcast form? Do you see that more as the future of sports talk radio?
We're going to find out, guys. I think that is one of the great questions people are going to ask about my particular move. Now, listen, for me, I think being at the age that I'm at and that you guys are at, it's a lot easier for us to understand the podcast industry. But, the idea of being able to listen whenever the hell you want, for me to be able to churn out content whenever something is topical, I think is going to be super advantageous. Listen, I'm going to be doing 3 of these a week, but guys, I could give you advance notice. When the Yankees are in the playoffs, and I don't think I'm going out on much of a limb by saying this, the Yankees will be in the playoffs this year. I would bet we'll probably churn something out after every single one of the games. Now, it's possible I'm coming from Yankee Stadium on one of the games, maybe 2 or 3 drinks deep, which might make for a more entertaining and a more off-the-wall type of podcast. But, you have the luxury now with this where, all right, it's a busy week. Let's do more. If it's a week where it's dead, you're not forced to work 5 days a week. So, from that standpoint, it's the best of both worlds. I'm still going to have a caller interaction to it. It's going to be a little different. Again, I'll get into that a little bit more in detail come next week. We're going to have all my Rolodex of guests, people who join my show on FAN. I fully expect them to be a part of this here on The Ringer. And, it's going to be I think people who listen to me on FAN are going to be getting a lot of the same stuff they got on FAN, just on a different platform.
That's great. I mean, I know you have 2 listeners right here for sure.
Well, I appreciate that, guys. And listen, the ability to just get on this microphone like now and connect like at 11:30 at night or on a Wednesday or whatever, it's super cool. I'm like looking forward to the idea of not being like shackled by, I got to wait till Monday to talk about this. So I got to wait until after the net game to talk about this. Now it's like, fuck it. I can say, all right, I'm allowed to curse on this. There we go. I got to get used to that, by the way. That's another beneficial thing about the podcast world. I'm not going to be dropping F-bombs every other minute, but now if I want to drop the occasional F-bomb, I don't got to worry about the FCC breathing down my neck, guys. I kind of like that.
We're not called Savage in the Bronx for a reason, of course. F-bombs are more than welcome on the show. But we also are very excited to have you on. And, of course, if you're just joining us, we have JJ here, John Jastremski, host of JJ After Dark and soon to be of Bill Simmons' baby, part of The Ringer. But Tom has some betting odds that we're going to get into here. I know you're a big betting guy, and we're going to go through some of the betting odds currently going on with the Yankees. Obviously, we're a Yankee show, so we got to go through some of these Yankee player performances. So I'm going to throw it to my co-host, Tom, with a couple of those odds. What do you got here, Tom?
What we got? So, yeah, I mean, the first one I feel like is the obvious one. Yankees over-under wins, 95.5. JJ, what are your thoughts on that?
It's a sharp total, fellas. It's a very sharp total. I think if the Yankees get through this year, for the most part, unscathed with injuries, they go over 95.5. I expect them to win the American League East. I think they're by far and away the most talented team in the American League. But, I mean, we saw it last year in the 60-game season. They were ravaged with injuries. And unlike 2 years ago, where like that next man up approach really worked well for them, that didn't really happen throughout 2020. Yankees had a whole lot more ups and downs, if you know what I mean. So, my gut feel on that would be to play the over. I don't love a total, though, that's that high. Like, I'd feel a lot better about the Yankees at like 92.5 than I do at 95 and 96.5.
Yeah, I mean, you figured, looking at the division, the Rays took a step back with, losing a guy like Snell. The Jays are just going to get better with their young talent. The Orioles are a dumpster fire. And the Red Sox, who knows? I feel like they're the big wild card of, if they're going to, how much better they can be. So it's going to be interesting. It's definitely an interesting total out there for sure. Next one I have some player props out there. So the tied for the lead favorite to win the Cy Young in the AL is is I forgot Garrett Cole's first name. Garrett Cole.
There you go.
Plus 330. He's tied with Bieber. What do you think on Cole winning Cy Young at those?
Well, listen,
those
I don't
odds?
think Bieber will get it, guys. More often than not, they want to give the Cy Young to somebody different. Here's the problem with an individual award like that. Yeah, I would probably pick Garrett Cole to win the Cy Young. He hasn't won it throughout his career. He beasted in the month of September, and now that he's, a Yankee, he's got like that first year jitters out of his system. I think he's going to be fine. The one thing with Cole, though, guys, he traditionally gets off to slow starts. He did last year for the Yankees, even 2 years ago with the Astros. I think he was pitching to like a 4.5 ERA on like May the 15th, and then pitched to like a 1.1 ERA the rest of the year. So, playing over 162 games, you do that and you have that sort of season, you'll be fine. But for me with individual awards, I like to get a little bit more value. There's just too much unpredictability. And what is Garrett Cole? Like plus 350, 300 to win the Cy Young? I feel like I'm getting no value there.
Yeah, please list it at plus 330 on FanDuel right now. So if we're talking value, there's another one I have for a little bit more long shots to lead not just the AL, but all of Major League Baseball in home runs. Stanton and Judge are both at plus 2,000.
Well, you know why the total is as high as it is, right, bro? That's because neither guy can stay on the field. I think if you are betting that total, what you're betting on is, hey, guess what? I think Aaron Judge is going to play 130 games. Or I think Giancarlo Stanton is going to play 130 games. See, I like that bet more, fellas, even though you can't count on either guy to stay healthy. Because if they do, there's a really good chance you're going to win that bet. So at what you're telling me plus 2,000, I'll take a stab on one of those two guys to lead baseball at home runs. Because if they play a good amount of games, they're going to hit a ton of balls out of the ballpark.
Absolutely.
And you got to make the competition there. Jose Abreu, Mike Trout. But yeah, one of those guys stay healthy. You got to think you're going to hit on that. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, what I found kind of interesting too is, again, just kind of going through the preseason picks on FanDuel earlier today, is that Judge is listed as the second favorite to an AL MVP behind Trout. So you would think they're saying that they think he's the second if he stays healthy, he has a good shot to win MVP. And if he wins MVP, there's a good chance he's hitting 45 home runs.
No doubt about it. And Aaron Judge, because of what's coming up for him over the next 2 years with his free agency, would love to have, an MVP trophy that he could put on his resume. He came close, and now you find out what happened with the cheating Astros. Yeah, 2017, he probably should have won the award, but injuries have gotten in the way the last few years. And that's what you're banking on. Aaron Judge, you go back to last year, guys, the first, 15, 20 games of the year, I thought he was on his way to winning the MVP in the Fugazi 60-game season. I thought he was going to get there. Then he went down with the injury. You basically flushed that right down the toilet. It's all about durability with both of those two guys. If they play, there's no doubt they're going to produce, and they're going to produce at a very high level.
Absolutely. And our boys are doing yoga this offseason. They're downward dogging.
I like that. They're getting flexible. That's what they should be doing. They don't need to be lifting 450-pound weights. You're telling me they need to be lifted anymore? They're big enough as is. Come on now.
I just want to see them be able to touch their toes.
Exactly. Those little downward dog and the stretches and this.
Absolutely.
You guys ever do? I actually have done yoga with the now fiance. She's made me do it like once or twice in the apartment. She has her classes.
I've actually been doing a little bit of yoga recently, and it's nice change up from the normal workouts to get a little flexibility in there. You don't sweat too much. It's pretty nice.
I used to give yoga no credit, and I think I was in a class that was meant to be 45 minutes, and it barely made it past the 6-minute mark, and I was out that class. There's definitely a lot of
move around as much, I guess, huh? You look like a flexible guy. I'm surprised by that.
All right. Well, let's move on from there. We do have a question though from our Twitch chat, and thank you guys for checking us out on Twitch, of course. From J Hertz 122, he asked, JJ, who stays healthy for more games, Stanton or Judge, in your personal opinion?
That's a good one. Aaron Judge. Why? I don't have much of a reason for it. You would think Giancarlo Stanton as a DH would have less of an injury risk because he's not going to be colliding into walls. He's not going to be having any issues with throwing or whatnot. But I go back to 2 years ago where Giancarlo Stanton basically missed the entire 2019 season. I can't get that out of my head. So, Judge, listen, last year he and Stanton both missed time. I can't say I feel great about this answer because it's basically, a flip of the coin. But I'm going to say Aaron Judge because the body of work the last few years would tell us at least he plays more games.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that too. The one injury he had, the broken hand, wrist area.
Fluke injury.
That's
I'll
a
give
fluke
you that.
injury.
I
There's
agree.
nothing you really
Fluke
could do
injury.
about that one. Last year was the oblique, right? Is that what Judge had last year?
The obliques are always a disaster.
So,
anytime you hear oblique, it's always like 2 or 3 weeks worse than what you think it's going to be. Maybe the oblique was last year. I don't even remember. The injuries now with Judge are so I can't even tell you what is what. Same with Stanton for that matter. Aside from the wrist in 2018, I'm losing track of all of them too. So we're on the same page with that.
It's tough, and it's almost like you have a hard time trusting what report's going to be out there. You hear that 2 to 3 weeks on an oblique turns into half the season. So it is tough. And right now, early on, the Yankees are in a tough stretch with the injuries already going into opening day. Luke Voigt's a tough one, but just kind of moving off the betting odds and just an overall scope of the 2021 team. JJ, what's your gut telling you about this team this year?
Guys, I think it's pretty simple. This team has to get to the World Series this year. No ifs, no ands, no buts. They have to get to the World Series. The American League is not great. You guys hit on it earlier. Tampa, no Blake Snell, no Charlie Morton. That's the team that went to the World Series last year. Now, Tampa's still going to be pesky. They're still going to be competitive. You're going to still hate playing them 18 times throughout the year, but they're clearly not as good. Minnesota never beats the Yankees. Oakland never wins in the playoffs. The Astros lost George Springer. And the Blue Jays, they're better, but their pitching doesn't really scare me. The only team that maybe is keeping me up at night a little bit, guys, is the Chicago White Sox. But they're in the infancy stages of what they're trying to build. The Yankees have been trying to get to a World Series now each of the last, 4 or 5 years. They have got to get there this year. They have the lineup to do it. I think the pitching, especially in the rotation, is going to be better than people think. Return of Domingo Germán. We'll see about Kluber and Jamison Taillon. Montgomery, who I've always liked. Everybody reacting to Davy Garcia. He'll be up here in about 2 or 3 weeks guaranteed because guys get hurt, number one. Two, you can never have enough starting pitching. You're going to see Davy Garcia pitch for the New York Yankees. No question about it. No doubt in my mind. So listen, go win the division and go get to the World Series. This team loses to the Dodgers. I can accept that. They lose to the Atlanta Braves. It would suck, but I can accept that. They cannot be sitting at home watching somebody else in the American League playing in the World Series this year. And guys, if indeed they fall short, I am going to be advocating significant changes on this Yankee team because sooner or later something's got to give, right? You can't keep rolling it back and running it back saying, oh, we'll just get them next year. No, it's make or break time. No other way around it.
And especially our lovely New York fans who listen in on radio shows the very next morning after the Yankees get knocked out. It's amazing to hear how many general managers are out there listening in on these shows after the Yankees get into elimination. But I can't agree with you more. This team is more than capable of getting into a World Series. And I see comments in the chat. Yeah, the AL is horrific. This should be a no-brainer for this team. As JJ mentioned, the White Sox are definitely going to be a competitive team. They just lost Eloy Jimenez for possibly the full season, and that's a tough bat to lose for them. They do have
nice when he's on your fantasy team, by the way, boys. Getting that notification on the golf course was not ideal last week. Just saying.
Sorry for your loss, but yes, Eloy down, and but the White Sox team has a lot of depth, and that's a team that does scare me. The A's out in the West, but yeah, you have to feel good about this team even after not maybe having a knock 'em dead offseason that you just had, but you have to have faith in this team. Even with the injuries, I still think this team is more than capable of making it to the World Series. Maybe not winning it, but definitely at least getting there.
Yeah, and the one knock on the lineup that I continue to have, though, guys, way too right-handed for my liking. And listen, you weren't going to let go of DJ LeMahieu. The guy's a stud. He's the best player on the team. I don't care if he hits lefty, righty. I don't care if he plays on Mars. That's a guy who needed to be brought back to the Yankees. Been their best player over the last 2 years. I wanted to see the Yankees maybe make a move for a lefty bat. didn't happen. But that's why I'm actually very happy about the fact that Jay Bruce is going to be on this team. And listen, I don't think Jay Bruce is a guy I want getting 500 at bats, but he is a legitimate lefty bat. He can play the outfield if you need him. He's going to play first base in the absence of Luke Voigt. And guys, he looks like the sort of player that can feast off of that short porch at Yankee Stadium. I've been annoyed. Tough right-handed pitching has mowed down the Yankees in the playoffs. Wonder if that would be maybe a little different if you had one or two lefty bats in there that could balance it out a little bit.
Absolutely.
And that's when you sort of miss a guy like Didi Gregorius. Even though it's at this rate, it's tough to – that middle infield is kind of jam-packed, but you miss that lefty balance in that lineup. So, yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you, JJ. Definitely, they are definitely in need of a lefty, and maybe that's a move they could possibly make at the deadline as well. But we're going to move on, and if you're just joining us, John Jastremski joining us here at Savage in the Bronx. We're honored to have him. You can follow him on Twitter at John_Jastremski. Of course, he's going to be joining the Ringer, but right now he's going to be joining us on Guess the Graft. It's our fun bit.
Oh, I'm excited about this. Okay.
With Mr. Tom Wospil. Now, if you see behind Tom, he's got all those autograph balls he's collected over the years. So if you're trying to rob Tom's house,
quite the collection. I ain't kidding. Quite the collection.
Yeah, it's a
So Tom's going to present.
Yeah, I was gonna say from like 2012 to 2019, I went down to spring training every year for a week, and part of it is standing by the fences trying to get some autographs of some guys, and that's basically where the whole collection has come from. And some of these guys don't have the best penmanship, although I think today's is pretty good. I think he this guy really put a good effort in.
Okay.
I had a preview of this, Tom, and I still don't even know, so I kind of cheated a little bit. But here we go. I'm going to put up the ball here. I know Tom's got it somewhere behind him, but it's right here, up in front of your screen right there.
Oh.
That is our ball. So, again, I had a hard time making this one out, but let's take a look at our Twitch chat here. And JJ, feel free to guess.
All right, can I throw a guess in right now?
Go for it. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, I'm thinking that this is either going to be a C or an A, I think, for the first initial. Now, I don't know if I'm going to try and dive in here. Let's see if I can read it a little better. Oh, man. I was going to say CC Sabathia, but I do not think that's it. No.
CC has not made his way into the collection, actually. I've been trying to get it for a long time, but have not been able to get it.
CC has not made it into the collection. No. All right. I'm going to ask for a little bit of a hint here, gentlemen. Okay. Is this a pitcher or a position player?
This is a position player.
Oh. Is he currently still on the team?
No.
Okay. That helps a little bit.
No. Not playing anymore either. He is now retired. When I got this a handful of years ago or so.
Is it Alfonso? Is Alfonso Soriano?
It is not Alfonso Soriano.
All right, I'm taking one more guess, and I'm waving the white flag here because
I'll give you another hint. He's played for both New York teams.
Curtis Granderson.
Not Curtis Granderson. Curtis Granderson is on the wall.
It's not a bad guess though.
Yeah, it's a good guess. It's a good guess.
Played for both New York teams.
More prominently for the Mets, and was tied to the Mets actually pretty recently, and then all of a sudden was not tied to the Mets.
Is that Beltran?
That is Carlos Beltran.
Oh, really?
Carlos Beltran. His name looks like Carlos Beef.
I would have never in a million years thought that was Beltran, by the way.
And I'm telling you, that is a upper level of like.
I mean, that's a Hall of Fame. Listen, that is an autograph that'll be worth something one day.
Yeah,
he's going to be a Hall of Famer. But if you were to tell me that's Carlos Beltran's autograph, I would have called bullshit on that. Not gonna lie.
That's Carlos Beltran.
I was going to guess Bill Simmons, but I guess I was off.
Somebody get me one of those. I'll
somebody guess cauliflower beef.
Maybe I'll add that to collection for you. I don't know if that's worth anything, but I'll try.
I got some weird ones back there. I got Rex Ryan actually. I saw him at a Yankee game, and Rex Ryan's handwriting looks like he's a 4-year-old.
I'm not surprised by that. Yeah. Me and Rex have some in common, at least. That's good.
Well, that's fantastic. And JJ, great guessing. You got it right. Carlos Beltran, a tough one there. But John, we're gonna let you go, and unfortunately, but we loved having you on. We hope to have you on soon. We wish you the best of luck with the Ringer, and yeah, whatever you want to plug, go for it. The floor is yours, sir.
Well, guys, I appreciate it. We will absolutely do this a couple of times throughout the year, so don't lose my number. But we're going to be starting Monday, Sunday night. We'll have a reaction to opening weekend in baseball, national championship game. We got a bunch of stuff lined up. You even got to find out what the name of the podcast is going to be, but you got to download it on Spotify. Search my name, John Jastremski, on Bill Simmons' page, on the Ringer page, and should be pretty accessible. If you have a smartphone and you could spell my name, you can do it. Trust me on that. You can do it.
It sounds great to me, John. Thanks for joining us once again, bud. Take care.
Guys, my pleasure. Anytime, all right?
Thanks
You got it. JJ. And of course, you can follow him at John_Jastremski on Twitter. That was really cool, Tom, to have JJ drop by Savages in the Bronx on his way to the Ringer.
Absolutely. We're a stepping stone to the Ringer. Essentially is what I learned.
Yes, sir. And of course, you can continue to listen to Savages in the Bronx, of course, 8 p.m. Eastern Time every Monday. We also have Leading Off, my baseball show that I host with my esteemed co-host Espo at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Twitch. And of course, you can follow them at Off Podcast on Twitter for all baseball talk, not just Yankees. You talk Mets, you talk everybody. Talk Pirates for the sake of it. But before we let you all go, Tom, is there anybody you want to thank before we close out Savages?
Well, I mentioned I went back to the indoor dining this week. It was for my wife's birthday coming up on Wednesday. So, she's not listening, but if she was, happy birthday, darling. And, we'll celebrate your birthday in a couple days again.
Happy birthday, Mrs. Wospil. I want to thank all our Twitch followers. Twitch listeners, rather, and viewers. I want to thank our Twitter followers. Of course, I want to thank JJ himself, John Jastremski, for dropping by. It was really cool to talk to him, and a pleasure to have him on as our first guest. And for all of you celebrating out there, have a very happy Easter. But, of course, happy opening day. We'll talk to you next week. Have a good one, guys. Take care.